Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our webinar, 6 Steps to Living a Pain-Free Life. Our hosts are Dr. Levine and Dr. Roczy from South Orange Chiropractic Center. This session will provide you with practical tips and expert insights to help you manage and eliminate pain. This webinar is perfect for anyone looking to improve their quality of life, and you'll have the opportunity to ask questions at the end of the session. The webinar will last about 30 minutes. Okay, doctors, over to you.
Okay. So, as chiropractors and practicing for many years, you got to imagine that people come into our office and they're in pain, right? And the ironic thing is they've been in pain for weeks, months, if not years. And a lot of people try and do things on their own, over the counter, home remedies, and they're not getting to the cause of the problem. Is that right?
Absolutely.
And there's many areas that can help reduce pain or alleviate the pain. And we want to just go into a few of them because there are things, if you're going to do things on your own, let's try safe and conservative measures first before people end up going down that rabbit hole of drugs, surgery, injections, which generally don't work out.
Right.
Where do you want to start?
I think it's important we start off with diet because most people come in here looking for some type of topical or solution that's focused on the outside of the body where the pain is, but you should really focus on where the inside, where the body gets its nutrition. And if you start to feed that with proper anti-inflammatory foods, you're going to start to take care of a lot of the inflammatory cascade that's perpetuating in the joints and throughout the spine. So why don't we talk a little bit about diet and what could be sort of the best foods for an individual?
Well, I always recommend to patients when they're coming in that the more resilient that their body is, the quicker it is for them to get better. When I say get better, I also mean reduce the pain. So you have about 660 muscles in your body. Those muscles are 82% H2O, water. And I got to tell you, most people say to me, I drink plenty of water, doc. Mm-hmm. And the reality is when I give them the formula that we've read about, if the muscles are 82% water and you are 2 to 3% dehydrated, those muscles will shorten and tighten and put pressure on the nerves or compress the musculoskeletal system. So we use the formula as half your body weight in ounces.
Correct. Yeah,
and that's a good start.
Very, very good. So if you're 200 pounds, it's 100 ounces of water, and just sip slowly throughout the day, and you'll get to the end goal. How about types of foods people should eat? A lot of things are processed now for ease and for comfort, but really people have to go back to foods that were around 100 years ago. So things that have one word in it: broccoli. Avocados, things of green leafy vegetables that are nutritious and that are going to cool the body. On that list next to you, I even compiled a couple of things that are amazing that people should start thinking about, such as leafy greens, spinach, kale, Swiss chard, because it's rich in antioxidants and polyphenols, which are again anti-inflammatory. Berries, blueberries, strawberries, but remember you want to try to purchase them organic or farmer fresh. Then you would also dive into frozen, and last is anything that's been canned or preserved. Another great thing is fatty fish,
right.
Salmon, high in your omega-3s, and that leads you into nuts such as almonds and walnuts, things of that nature. So there's so much out there to pick from, but you have to be a smart consumer because everything is commercialized for us to pick with ease, not with quality. So
right. And when you mentioned fatty fish, the whole point of that is to get the omega-3s in your body, which have an anti-inflammatory effect. When patients tell us, doc, I'm not a fish fan. I can't, I can only eat it only so much. And the reality is you're not going to get enough of the omega-3s by having fish once a week.
Right.
So what are we doing? We're putting patients on high quality tuna oil and a turmeric supplement because there are herbs that are also anti-inflammatory because the negative side of over the counter Your ibuprofen is going to create gut problems, heart problems, and kidney problems. Your Tylenol is creating liver problems as well as heart problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, anything besides turmeric that you recommend?
One of the things I love personally is collagen. Amazing, great for the joints and the elasticity of the tissue. And we just read an article, I believe it was a few weeks ago, that we're all losing our tissue tensile elasticity. And unfortunately, if you don't put more into the body, you're going to become stiffer as you age.
Right.
So, a lot of people will say, "Well, does it really work?" Well, does eating healthy lead to good things, or does eating poorly lead to poor things? The best thing is to do something and not just think about, a plan, but take action on it.
We found a product that has a lot of the nutrients in it, providing you're not on any, eliminating medication.
Mhm.
The white willow bark, the ginger, the turmeric, all together,
As well
as well as also joint support.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we covered diet pretty good with
Excellent.
water and hydration and the resiliency that's important. Let's move on to exercise.
Perfect. Hey, so exercise. What's the easiest, safest form of exercise? It's walking. If you can, walking. There are patients who are unstable, and the second best thing would be a recumbent, seated bicycle, and that's going to give you the cardiovascular that you need and stability. Then they recommend an elliptical machine. After an elliptical machine, you could step it up to a treadmill. All right, and then you go from treadmill to outside to jogging. So, but you got to start somewhere.
Or light weights even.
100%.
So one of the things that every patient gets coming here is they'll get some form of stretching to loosen up the joints, because you just think about how many people are stuck in their computer, at their desk, or on their cell phone. They're in compression, they're shortening and tightening their muscles, they're dehydrated. So we'll always recommend either some chair or some floor exercises to get the joints moving, to get circulation into the tissue. And a lot of pain relief comes from stretching or yoga or some type of assisted Pilates or some floor exercises. So, and we make recommendations on our stretching exercises based on someone's x-ray. So they're prescribed and they're specific.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
But a lot of pain comes from just lack of exercise, not doing enough.
A stationary lifestyle. And then, there are studies out there that they say you should get at least about 30 minutes a day. So we talked about this before. If you can't do 30 minutes consecutively, you can always chunk it down into 10-minute intervals. But again, as Dr. Levine had mentioned, getting up from a stationary lifestyle is so much more important than, just sitting there with your pain or your problem.
Remember, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? But so stretching and exercise is important. But when we talk about pain, a lot of patients ask us, where is the pain coming from? And pain's coming from inflammation. It's simple as that. So they recommend should I use heat, should I use ice? Well, if it's inflammation and I smash my finger in the car door, am I going to use heat or ice? Ice is always the first thing to go to. Especially in the winter, heat always feels better, but ice is more therapeutic. And we make recommendations and we give handouts therapeutically, 20 minutes on, 20 off, and 20 on again. Where do you want to go next?
All right, I see it right in front of us. We all love it. Let's do sleep.
Good.
Yeah.
So sleep is important. Some patients have trouble sleeping because they're in pain. So we'll recommend icing and stretching prior to sleep. But having good posture when you're sleeping can reduce the pressure on the nerve. One of the things we recommend is having a cervical support pillow, because the head is larger than your neck. So you want something to support the neck. And the two best ways to sleep,
definitely on your back or your side. And we have people who tell us all the time that I can't sleep on my side or I can't sleep on my back. Well, you can tell and train your body to do anything with repetition. And we teach you here tips and tools on how to achieve that. And it's very easy, but you got to get adequate sleep, because that's when the body's healing and repairing all the processes for the next day. One of the things we also recommend for patients who have issues with sleep is another vitamin called Muscle Ease, and it helps assist you fall asleep and stay asleep longer. But it's also giving your muscles nutrients to relax and repair. And patients wake up more, how can I say, relieved and full of energy because their body's doing what it's supposed to do at night instead of instead of waking up due to pain or discomfort. Sorry.
Yeah, sleep is critical for repair, and it's important. And if we can come up with suggestions to help, I think we also have on our website some either a video or a previous sleep workshop that we did. So posture is important, and making sure the room is cool, dark, and quiet so the body can go into a good state of sleep. Let's move into mental attitude and a good mindset for how does that affect pain and inflammation?
That's it. You know, what you think is your reality. You know, it's so important that you have a mindset that your body can heal. It is self-healing, and if you allow the right thoughts to go into it, it's going to do what it's supposed to do. But also visualization is big. Affirmations are huge because you have to put it into an existence. And I'm not saying that this is the end all, but it's the start of a healthier body from the inside out.
Right. A lot of people will, if they're in chronic pain for a long time, feel that they're never going to get out of pain. And this is, woe is me, I'm always going to be here. This is a negative mindset. How about the fact that you can heal? My body does want to be better. Having a gratitude journal or writing down or journaling something that you're grateful for and feeling good, especially before bed, helps put the mind at ease. Telling yourself you can get better. Like Dr. Roczy said, the meditations, the visualizations, seeing myself vital, active, and a happy human being. But breathing is a good part of mental attitude. So having a controlled breath. There's something called box breathing, where you can inhale for the count of 4, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale for a count of 4, and repeat that process. So it's a form of a box. If you can progress that 4-second inhale, exhale, and hold, you can do it to 6 seconds. But slow the breath down, focus on your body healing. And if it helps reduce the pain and reset the brain, it's just a good exercise to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. What's next? How about posture? Okay, we're the posture experts. We recommend everyone get a posture scan because even if you're feeling good, so the best way to avoid pain is to be proactive. Just because you're not in pain doesn't mean you have good posture, and doesn't mean your posture won't deteriorate as you get older. And we're seeing so many people spending hours in front of the computer, on their cell phones, at their desk, being immobile with rounded shoulders, bent over back. And if we don't start fixing those things or taking steps to prevent things from getting worse now, they'll only get worse later.
Good. And I think being aware of your family members is also important because a lot of times you're going to notice somebody in a slouch posture and they might have said, hey, there's a discomfort or a pain, and you've ignored it. But that's the precursor to a long-term chronic disease with poor posture. So more and more our demographic in our office has changed throughout the 20 years that I've been here, where we're now seeing kids as early as middle school due to poor posture. And the number one problem is
Devices,
phones, and it's leading to poor concentration. It's shown that posture also affects mood, memory, regurgitation of information,
and behavior, the child's behavior. Taking a device away from a child that's been on it for hours a day, there's more and more research coming about the negativity of devices. We look at it from a posture standpoint because, what most people don't know is posture is hereditary. You look at your posture, I bet you it's similar to either a parent. And how are your kids? So let's get them under care or attention early, which brings us to our favorite subject, which is spinal balance.
Love it.
Right? And one of the ways we determine whether you're in balance or not balanced is with diagnostics, which our favorite is
Thermal imaging. It's a scientific study where we run a camera along your spine to detect exactly where your nervous system is irritated and how it affects, more importantly, not just where you feel your pain, but your whole entire nervous system and organ system, which creates life, healing, energy, immunity, and everything that we take for granted every day. So it's an amazing scan. And remember, you don't have to have pain in order to have a problem, because why would you want to wait for a heart attack? Why would you want to wait for a toothache? You want to always be preventative. Whereas this system that we use here, the thermal camera, it actually measures all of the 32 spinal nerves coming out of the spine. It'll tell us how your body is operating as a whole, which is pretty important.
right. And if we detect nerve pressure or nerve interference, which we call the subluxation, that nerve interference will cause dysfunction to any potential part of the body. A lot of times there's referred pain. Only 10% of the nerve deals with sensory or deals with pain. We want to see a picture of the whole nerve. So if it's irritated, whether it be mild, moderate, or severe, we can pick that up and come up with a solution before the pain starts. So prevention is always better than crisis care. I think we're ready for questions.
Very good.
What
Excellent.
questions do we have?
Great. Well, thank you, doctors. Folks, if you have any questions, type them into the chat now. If you're watching the replay, you can always send your questions into us by filling out the questions form on our website at southorangechiropractic.com/contact, or call us at 908-845-4047. We've got some questions that we've gathered so far. I'd like both of you to weigh in on each question. So I'll ask the question. Whoever wants to jump in first can, but I'd like to hear from both of you. So question number one is about the water. So half the body weight in ounces is your recommendation. Can any liquids count, or is it specifically water that you want us drinking?
Specifically water. That's the basic foundation your body uses. And we would recommend that overall. Anything caffeinated, of course, is going to be a diuretic. So avoid that as well.
You can also help with water-rich fruits and vegetables. Cucumbers are water-rich, watermelon, so that can add to it. But keep in mind that if you're physically active, not just sedentary, you'll need more water based on the external temperature. If you're working outside and it's humid and it's hot, you'll need more. So, use that as the formula as a guideline, not locked in stone.
Great. Next question is about the pillows for sleeping. And the question is, if I don't have a pain right now, if my pillow seems fine, but it's a regular pillow, should I consider switching to one of these pillows you recommend?
I think it's, we can guide you. If you're a patient here and we've seen your x-rays and we know the structure of the spine, we will definitely make the recommendation. I mean, if you're comfortable and you're sleeping on your back or your side, you feel supported, I would stay with where you are now until, you feel you might have an issue. If you have loss of motion in your neck, you might want to try a cervical pillow, a neck pillow, and but don't go crazy buying crazy expensive pillows if you don't know that what's right for you. It's always good to get a recommendation. Anything else on that?
Yeah, I think that's important.
Great. Next question is sticking with sleep as well. Is there an optimum amount of sleep we're supposed to get? I get about 5.5 hours a night and feel fine. Is that about right? Or should I be aiming for more?
There's been several studies out there where they say the 6 to 8 hour window is where your body is hitting the REM cycles as it should. So that's what the top researchers recommending, 6 to 8 hours. I'm personally fine with 5.5. However, I do aim for 6, and I want to stay within that 6 to 8.
Think about also the quality of sleep that you're getting. If you're in a deep sleep and you feel rested when you wake up, that's that's really the sign. You wake up, you can have 7 hours of sleep and you're tossing and turning all night and you wake up fatigued, then, you might want to question quality of sleep as well.
Right. Next question is about the turmeric. Is turmeric being added to food? Is that as beneficial as a supplement you were talking about? Can I add turmeric to my shakes and that kind of thing and get the same type of benefit?
You can add it to your food, you can add it to your shakes, but the turmeric that we're talking about is a highly concentrated form of turmeric that's taken by pill, and it's ingested morning or during the evening. So it's a little bit more higher concentrated, regulated compared to a product that you're just buying simply over the counter for food enhancement or flavoring.
Yeah, the next question is about attitude. It sounds like someone's an athlete here. And the question is, I'm an athlete who was injured doing my sport, and I find that the mental part of getting back into shape has been the hardest for me. Do you have any tips on mental attitude for athletes?
So let's say you had an injury to an ankle or a knee and you can't be as active in that capacity because you have to allow the healing to occur. But you can be active with your upper body. There are other exercises that you can do. If someone has injured an arm or a shoulder, you can still be walking, you can still be doing other exercises, chair exercises, maybe other forms of weight. So it's always good if you're an athlete and you had an injury, they need to be active. Just find a different form to keep that activity going and go through the healing process. Don't rush it. Sometimes coming back too soon can cause a further injury. Right?
Two last questions, doctor. One is on posture is hereditary. This person says that's the first time I've ever heard about that. Could you just expand a bit more about that fact?
Well, you get hair color, eye color, you get facial expressions a lot from family. Your spine is passed down from one generation to another. We see that with scoliosis. Sometimes it skips a generation, but a lot of times if a family member has had a scoliosis, that can be passed down as well because it's a genetic predisposition. It's posture. Right? Anything else on that? I think that's it.
Great. And the last question is about preventative activities. If I am not in pain, but I want to make sure that I stay that way, do I come into your office for one of these scans? Like, how do I get started if I'm not currently in pain, but I'd like to stay that way?
Yeah, the easiest way is you call the office up and we set you up for a complimentary thermal scan. We'll take the time to do a consult and hear a little bit about your life, your activities, your lifestyle. Most importantly, what you want out of your life and what you want to continue to do, because most people want more and more as they age, and unfortunately, the body doesn't keep up with them. Then after that, we're going to put that person into the scan room. Do the procedure, and then right after that, go over it. And the scan will tell us whether or not there is some type of nerve root irritation. We'll take it from there. A lot of patients are pleasantly surprised to come in without any discomfort, without any disease. And once we put them through a thorough chiropractic, neurologic, orthopedic evaluation, our digital x-rays, they start to see the acceleration of how their spine is changing. They're pleased that we found that where the problems were before they even had a pain. And I think that's the most important thing, because why wait for the problem when you can clearly be prevented?
Very good. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for our webinar today. If you would like to book an appointment with the doctors, you can go online to southorangechiropractic.com/book your appointment, or you can call the office directly at 908-364-5497. Thank you for joining us for the webinar today, and have a great day.